भगवते वासुदेवाय।
भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवतसेवया
नित्यं भागवतसेवया
भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके
श्लोके
भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी।
भवति नैष्टिकी।
ॐ अज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्ता नमस्ते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। पञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
जय
श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णविष्णाय भूतले प्रभुपादति प्रिय श्री गिरिराजाय स्वामिने सुभक्षरास बिहारी भक्तिव्यच्छात्मदायिने। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णविष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशकारिणे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदिनतारिणं। Hare Krishna. So today we are completing this fifth canto, description of hellish planets.
I also got 6. My 5th is in the car. I didn't get bored.
Yeah, it's heavy. It's just few verses. Then we'll stop.
Yeah.
You can just listen. So, text 36. Yastvi hava adhyabhinyatir ahankritastirya kripshana sarvato vivikshanki arthavyaya chintaya parishushямana hridaya vadano Nivritam manavagato grahaivartham abhirakshiti sa chapi pretya tad utpadanutkarshana samsarakshana shamala graha shuchi mukhe narake Nipatati yatraha vitta graham papa purusham dharmaraj purusha vayakaiva sarvato ganeshu sutre parivayanti. One who in this world or this life is very proud of his wealth, always you have to read my voice is not proper.
Hare Krishna. Translation. One who in this world or this life is very proud of his wealth always thinks, I am so rich, who can equal me? His vision is twisted. He is always afraid that someone will take his wealth. Indeed, he even suspects his superiors. His face and heart dry up at the thought of losing his wealth, and therefore he always looks like a wretched fiend. What is that word? Fiend. He is not in any way able to obtain actual happiness, and he does not know what it is to be free from anxiety. Because of the sinful things he does to earn money, augment his wealth and protect it, he is put into the hell called Suchi Mukha, where the officials of Yamraj punish him by stitching thread through his entire body like weavers manufacturing cloth. Purport. When one possesses more wealth than necessary, he certainly becomes very proud. This is the situation of men in modern civilization. According to the Vedic culture, Brahmanas do not possess anything, whereas Kshatriyas possesses riches but only for performing sacrifices and other noble activities as prescribed in the Vedic injunctions. A Vaishya also earns money honestly through agriculture, cow protection, and some trade. If a Shudra gets money, however, he will spend it lavishly without discrimination or simply accumulate it for no purpose. Because in this age there are no qualified Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, or Vaishyas. Almost everyone is the Shudra, Kalau Shudra Sambhavaha. Therefore, the Shudra mentality is causing great harm to modern civilization. A Shudra does not know how to use money to render transcendental loving service to the Lord. Money is called Lakshmi, and Lakshmi is always engaged in the service of Narayan. Wherever there is money, it must be engaged in the service of Lord Narayan. Everyone should use this money to spread the great transcendental movement of Krishna consciousness. If one does not spend money for this purpose but accumulates more than necessary, he will certainly become proud of the money he illegally possesses. The money actually belongs to Krishna, who says in Bhagavad Gita 5.29, Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. I am the true enjoyer of sacrifices and penances, and I am the owner of all the planets. Therefore, nothing belongs to anyone but Krishna. One who possesses more money than he needs should spend it for Krishna. Unless one does so, he will become puffed up because of his false possession, and therefore he will be punished in the next life as described herein. Wow.
These are those who are too hankering after wealth. So we saw that Brahmanas, Kshatriya and Vaishyas, they are able to utilize their extra money, right, in Krishna's service. So everybody should possess something. So we saw how, I just heard Prabhupada saying that the Brahmanas, So what do? People are always giving them, and there's extra. So what do? They distribute, right? Whatever is extra, they distribute to poor people or whatever. And the Kshatriyas, what do? They perform sacrifices and other noble activities as prescribed in the Vedic injunction. Like now, taxes, right? Supposed to go back to the public, right? Welfare work. And the Vaishyas, so they earn honestly through agriculture, cow protection, and some trade. And there is a margin, all right, in their trade. Whatever, there is a margin. And I did hear a lecture by Prabhupada where he gave the amount, Actually, it's very interesting how in India they call it margin, right? It's a word I never heard before until I came to India,
Yes, margin and the
right?
profits.
Right?
Bottom line margin. Yes.
Isn't it? I never heard this word before. I only know of profit. So I guess it's coming from Hitopadesh. Hitopadesh?
Corporate use that all the time.
Artha Shastra, right? Artha Shastra. So according to the Vedic literatures, injunctions, how much can a Vaishya make margin? Okay, the margin, all right? But now what they are doing, they are putting 25, then 50, then 100, right? This is what we heard. And therefore it's causing war, right? It's causing outright wars. So Prabhupada is saying, who are the people who do this type of thing? It's the Shudras. So Prabhupada is saying here, if a Shudra gets money, however, he will spend it lavishly, without discrimination, or simply accumulate it for no purpose. So it's like one set of society is, like enjoying the work of somebody else. And you're living, like when I went to US, it was very interesting to watch this whole country, You have to walk through a gate. You don't walk through a gate. It's like zoom, zoom, cool jar, sim, 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 cool jar, right? Oh, isn't it? You don't have to push open anything. Everything, right, is just automatic, right? It costs money, right? It's oil money. Why can't you push it? Right? Everything automated. So how much that country is consuming, right? In terms of electricity, this, that, right? So all this high-tech stuff. So if a Shudra gets money, he will spend it lavishly, without discrimination. So the Shudra mentalities, because this is the Kali Yuga now. So Kalau Shudra Sambhavaha, so the entire civilization, modern civilization is Shudra mentality. A Shudra doesn't know how to use money to render transcendental loving service to the Lord. Like even these small, men, women, if you tell them, give something, for Krishna, they say, will he feed me? They ask this question, will he feed me? Right? And it's very pathetic that the reason why they are in this situation is because of this Kripana mentality. Right? The more we are not ready to give to Krishna, therefore we remain where we are. And we start doing so many bad things. So a Shudra doesn't know how to use money to render transcendental service to the Lord. Money is called Lakshmi. So in ISKCON we use the term Lakshmi. So wherever there is money, Lakshmi, it must be engaged in the service of Lord Narayan. So this is purpose of Lakshmi. So if we don't, then automatically will start to do sinful activities, like I just said, right? Then you just sit and you exploit another one, right? They make you work for them, right? And then one day you say, oh, what's going on? Let me put off the taxes double, triple, four time, right? And then wars. I just watched, one documentary. They say that with all this, he was explaining the whole increase of from 5%. Yeah, from 5%. Then somebody came and put it 25%, and somebody else put it to 50%, and then war. Right? So this is the cause of war. So, Kali Yuga means inability to control the senses, and therefore overspending, over enjoyment, no distribution, no Krishna, therefore no distribution, right? Text 37. Evam vidha narakah yamalaye shanti shalashaha सहस्रशस्तेषु सर्वेषु च सर्व एव धर्मवर्तिनो ये केचिद् इहोदितः अनुदितश्चावनीपते पर्यायेन विशन्ति तथैव धर्मानुवर्तिना इतरत्र इहातु पुनर्भवे त उभये शेषाभ्यं निविशन्ति. My dear King Parikshit, oh, this is a very long purport.
Hare Krishna. Translation. My dear King Parikshit, in the province of Yamraj, there are hundreds and thousands of hellish planets. The impious people I have mentioned and also those I have not mentioned must all enter these various planets according to the degree of their impiety. Those who are pious, however, enter other planetary systems, namely the planets of the demigods. Nevertheless, both the pious and impious are again brought to earth after the results of their pious or impious acts are exhausted. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This corresponds to the beginning of Lord Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita, Tatha Dehantara Prapti. Within this material world, one is simply meant to change from one body to another in different planetary systems. Urdhava Gacchanti Sattvastha. Those in the mode of goodness are elevated to the heavenly planets. Adho Gacchanti Tamasah. Similarly, those too engrossed in ignorance enter the hellish planetary systems. Both of them, however, are subjected to the repetition of birth and death. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that even one who is very pious returns to the earth after his enjoyment in the higher planetary systems is over. Shine punye mrityo lokam vishanti. Therefore, going from one planet to another does not solve the problems of life. The problems of life will only be solved when we no longer have to accept a material body. This can be possible if one simply becomes Krishna conscious. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma neti mameti so Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. O Arjuna, this is the perfection of life and the real solution to life's problems. We should not be eager to go to the higher heavenly planetary systems, nor should we act in such a way that we have to go to the hellish planets. The complete purpose of this material world will be fulfilled when we resume our spiritual identities and go back home, back to Godhead. The very simple method for doing this is prescribed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. One should be neither pious nor impious. One should be a devotee and surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna. This surrendering process is also very easy. Even a child can perform it. Man manabhav madbhakto matyajimam namaskuru. One must always simply think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. One should become Krishna's devotee, worship him and offer obeisances to him. Thus, one should engage all the activities of his life in the service of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Text 38. Nivriti lakshana marga adhaveva vyakhyata etavan evanda koshayas chaturdashadha puraneshu vikalpita upagiyate yattad bhagavato narayanasya sakshan mahapurushasya sthavishtham rupam atmamaya gunamayam anuvarnitam madrita pathati shrinoti shravayati sa upageyam bhagavataha paramatmano grahyam api shraddha bhakti vishuddha buddhir vedah. It's sounding nice, this verse. In the beginning, the second and third cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, I have already described how one can progress on the path of liberation. In the Purana, the last universal existence, which is like an egg, divided into 14 parts, is described. This vast form is considered the external body of the Lord, created by his energy and qualities. It is generally called the Virat Rupa. If one reads the description of this external form of the Lord with great faith, or if one hears about it or explains it to others to propagate Bhagavad Dharma or Krishna consciousness, his faith and devotion in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, will gradually increase. Although developing this consciousness is very difficult, by this process one can purify himself and gradually come to an awareness of the supreme absolute truth. So here it's just saying it's very difficult to accept and have faith in Krishna. Very difficult. But by hearing and discussing, like last week, so much objection was coming about, whether this hell actually exists or not. Is it just to make people afraid, right? So much, like, even though we are reading and everything, and we so-called have faith in Bhagavatam, but when it comes to this, like, so much resistance, we don't want to accept. So Shukdev Goswami is saying, or who's saying? Yeah, Shukdev Goswami is saying that although developing this consciousness is very difficult, Krishna consciousness, and by this process, meaning by hearing again and again Bhagavatam and explaining it, if one hears about it, explain it to others to propagate Bhagavad Dharma or Krishna consciousness, what will be the result? His faith and devotion in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, will gradually increase. Meaning that, now I understand properly after so many years, right? How many times I've heard this, read or heard about it, but now after so many years, finally, okay, it's there. It's actually, and why is it there? Because people do this type of things, right? They do it. So if they are doing something so abominable, and therefore there is a place equally abominable, but beyond their imagination. This is how the laws of nature, I don't want to say Krishna, he's too sweet and kind to do all this, right? But it's, we read somewhere else, Prabhupada says, when the conditioned soul is so stubborn to commit sinful activities, his put under the care of a severe man, right? So that severe man, he fashioned out all these types of methods, right, to purify that Jeev from his sinful tendency, which we're going to read now. Text 39. Oh, no. The Krishna consciousness movement is pushing forward the publication of Srimad Bhagavatam, as explained specially for the understanding of the modern civilized man, to awaken him to his original consciousness. Without this consciousness, one melts into complete darkness. Just see. Whether one goes to the upper planetary system or to the hellish planetary system, he simply wastes his time. Therefore, one should hear the universal position of the Virat form of the Lord as described in Srimad Bhagavatam. That will help one save himself from material conditioned life and gradually elevate him to the path of liberation so that he can go back home, back to Godhead. So what is this melting into darkness? Meaning you don't know. You actually don't know what exists. You're kept in the dark. You don't know. And therefore we're very careless, right? You don't know, you're in the dark. Agyan, right? Tamas, agyan, you don't know. So very happy, like a fool, right? Like a fool doesn't know what are the dangers. So he just walk around very happy-go-lucky, right? And he commits all these type of mistakes. So Prabhupada is saying that therefore one should hear of the universal form of the Virat Roop of the Lord. So this Virat Roop, so we understand that this creation has some purpose, and there are different sections in great elaboration, different sections of enjoyment, middle enjoyment, and final suffering in punishment. A place of punishment is also allocated. So then we can develop faith. Text 39. Shutva sthulam tatha shukshmaham rupam bhagavato yati sthule nirjitam atmanam shane shukshmam dhiya nayatiti. One who is interested in liberation, who accepts the path of liberation and is not attracted to the path of conditioned life, is called yati, or a devotee. Such a person should first control his mind by thinking of the Virat Rupa, or the gigantic universal form of the Lord, as we've been describing, right? The 14 planetary system, then the middle is all this Jambudvip and all the other Dvipa, right? Then down Garbhodak ocean, then just below there's Narak Lok, so 28 different have been described, and above them is Yamlok. And above is all the Billa Swarga. All right, 7 lower planetary systems. So this is the Virat Roop. This is the Roop of the Supreme Lord. On his body all is situated. So we should think of the Virat Rupa and then gradually think of the spiritual form of Krishna, Sachidanand Vigraha, after hearing of both forms. Sinha now, beautiful Krishna, you can't put him, in Virat Rupa, or you look at Virat Rupa, you can't put him on Krishna. But here is saying, meditate on both. And by devotional service, one can then realize the spiritual form of the Lord, which is the destination of devotees. Thus his life becomes successful. It is said, in purport, it is said, Mahat sevam dwaram ahur vimuktehe. If one wants to progress on the path of liberation, he should associate with Mahatmas or liberated devotees, because in such association, there is a full chance for hearing, describing, and chanting about the name, form, qualities, and paraphernalia of the Supreme Person Godhead, all of which are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. On the path of bondage, one eternally undergoes the repetition of birth and death. One who desires liberation from such bondage should join the International Society for Krishna Consciousness and thus take advantage of the opportunity to hear Shrimad Bhagavatam from devotees and also explain it to propagate Krishna consciousness. The last verse, text 40. द्युद्वीपवर्षा शरीरद्रिनाभसमुद्रः पतालदिन्नारकभागनलोकसंस्था गीतामय तव नृपभूतम् ईश्वरस्य स्थूलं प्रभु सकलजीव निकय धाम. My dear king, I have now described for you this planet Earth, other planet system and their lands, Varsha, rivers and mountains. I have also described the sky, the ocean, the lower planetary system, the direction, the hellish planetary systems, and the stars. These constitute the Virat Rupa, the gigantic material form of the Lord on which all living entities repose. Thus, I have explained the wonderful expanse of the external body of the Lord. Thus, and the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 5th canto, 26th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled A Description of the Hellish Planets, completed in the Honolulu Temple of the Panchtattva, June 5th, 1975. So, this is the end of this canto. So Prabhupada is writing down the date and the place. All right. So this one section is there about Rishabdev, the last section. So you can read this on yourself. All right. So tell me, what do you think of this whole description now?
I was a little this about the 39th one where it says that I mean one should control the mind and the senses looking at the external thing to begin with and then gradually move to the internal, which is the Satchidananda. Why the external? Because the external gives a more graphic view of how the Lord's body is, and also the fear of going up and going down, and understanding that anxiety that it gets into you, that when you do this then you look like that, and when you do that then you know that you are going there. Is that why?
Well, see, actually, some religious faith, they only see the Virat Rupa. They know God as the creator, right? This is all they know. God the creator, isn't it? So it is one step in their spiritual journey, you could say. So here you say that we should know, this 5th canto, I don't know how many chapters have been describing about, see, all of us, you say, there's God. Don't we want to see God? Don't we want to see his power? That's why we got chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita, right? And chapter 11 of Bhagavad Gita. Yes, this is definitely God, right? That's the Virat Rupa. If you see only, a little boy with a flute, so it's your imagination, right? How can you say? Even Brahma doubted. Even Indra doubted, right? Then they checked him out. Then they knew.
And maybe to understand really the Satchidanand Roop, there is a lot of churning that any human has to go through. And I
Yeah.
think that churning comes through the Virat Roop. No?
Yes, yeah.
So get you more matured, more realized. When you suffer, that is the time 90% realization comes. It doesn't come when you are enjoying.
Well,
Isn't
see,
it?
suffering will take you the Virat Rupa, right? You want him to fix your suffering, right? Krishna's enjoying, right? Krishna's enjoying. Krishna's rasa, right? So those who come to Krishna, actually, they're having rasa. They're seeing his beautiful smile. They're seeing his beautiful shringar. It's rasa that is attracting them, isn't it? Those who are suffering, Virat Roop is sufficient for them. Because they will get the herbs, right? If they have some disease, then they know from the Virat Roop of the Supreme Lord, where's your herb? Tell me where it is, where I can pluck it, right? That's their mentality. They need money. Tell me where you've kept the wealth, right? Where's
Tell
my
me where is
wife?
the opulence?
Where's my
Which
wife?
planet
Where's
is
my
the
husband?
opulence I can go vacation for?
Send me my wife, send me my husband, send me the children. I'm not getting children. Send me the child because everything is in his womb, right? That's how we think. Virat Rupa, right? Everything, he's the storehouse of everything that we want. So therefore, he's required, right? As you say, little Krishna, Makhan Chor, right? Hard to believe and he's of no use to me.
Honestly, yes, yes.
Isn't it? Right?
No, then this study is
I remember how, we were having, some very, like we were in some retreat actually. And there was so much rasa flowing about Krishna and this, and we were listening very nicely, And then so there was a team, of devotees giving all their class. And then when one person, he started speaking about all, about the problems of life and how do you manage it. And that was very interesting. Okay, now this is real. The other one was just, it's like
because you cannot relate to it.
Krishna Katha. Just yesterday I was listening to one lecture, Indradyumna Swami. He's in Radhakund, So I think more than 1 hour he was speaking. And so then when he was coming to the end, now he was saying how the night before he burned the midnight candle to study and get all the the material for his class. It was about the different types of separation. I think that's what, meeting and separation, Krishna. And then so he says, but this, and then he said, and some of you are nodding off. Now just imagine such a rasic class and some in the audience, they're nodding off, right? So we are not very much interested. Even to hear. As it is, we always fall asleep when, in Bhagavatam class. Now, when rasa is being spoken, even then we are falling asleep, right? Krishna book is very simple, but then there are more and more given by other acharyas, and Maharaj is like a miner, you could say, going and collecting all these jewels. And he's speaking to his audience, and whether they were in Radhakund. Can you imagine the topmost of all? And there he's just said, and some of you are nodding off. So can you imagine, what is our level? Right? The desire to hear about Krishna is not fixed in the heart. Our body is always tired and sleepy. Tamas. Right? Yeah, especially. Anyway, maybe it was hot also in
Radhakund must be fuming.
Anyway. All right, so we've got little time, so we'll do fifth canto. God, this is.
Oh, this is the good one.
Now, sixth canto, yes, part 1. Yeah.
No, I have the whole thing as 6 canto.
Yeah.
You might be having part 1. This is the old one.
Yeah.
This is the new publication.
Yeah. We don't take Bhagavatam on the chair. We don't keep Bhagavatam on the chair. Huh? So this is chapter 1, the history of the life of Ajamil. And I've just put on my lectures, this radio. Please, everybody get the radio Prabhupada's lectures. Huh? So I was just listening again to this 6th canto, story of Ajamil. There's so much intricacies. See, sorry, it's like reading and then hearing Prabhupada. The sound, when you hear Prabhupada, it goes deeper. So please do listen to his voice. Hmm? His voice is not from this world. So it has a very, very significant impact. All right, you want to read? Hmm?
First chapter we will start with.
Yes.
This is the preface, the entire.
We are reading chapter 1. Summary.
Chapter 1, The History of the Life of Ajamil. Throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, there are descriptions of 10 subject matters, including creation, subsequent creation, and the planetary systems. Sukadev Goswami, the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, has already described creation, subsequent creation, and the planetary systems in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th cantos. Now, in the 6th canto, which consists of 19 chapters, he will describe Poshana, or protection by the Lord. The first chapter relates the history of Ajamil, who was considered a greatly sinful man, but was liberated when 4 order carriers of Vishnu came to rescue him from the hands of the order carriers of Yamaraj. A full description of how he was liberated, having been relieved of the reactions of his sinful life, is given in this chapter. Sinful activities are painful both in this life and in the next. We should know for certain that the cause of all painful life is sinful actions. On the path of fruitive work, one certainly commits sinful activities, and therefore, according to the consideration of Karma Kand, different types of atonement are recommended. Such method of atonement, however, do not free one from ignorance, which is the root of sinful life. Consequently, one is prone to commit sinful activities even after atonement, which is therefore very inadequate for purification. On the path of speculative knowledge, one becomes free from sinful life by understanding things as they are. Therefore, the acquirement of speculative knowledge is also considered a method of atonement. While performing fruitive activities, one can become free from the actions of sinful life through austerity, penance, celibacy, control of the mind and senses. Truthfulness and the practice of mystic yoga, by awakening knowledge, one may also neutralize sinful reactions. Neither of these methods, however, can free one from the tendency to commit sinful activities. By bhakti yoga, one can completely avoid the tendency for sinful life. Other methods are not very feasible. Therefore, the Vedic literature concludes that devotional service is more important than the methods of Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. Only the path of devotional service is auspicious for everyone. Fruitive activities and speculative knowledge cannot independently liberate anyone. But devotional service, independent of karma and jnana, is so potent that one who has fixed his mind at the lotus feet of Krishna is guaranteed not to meet the Yamdutas, the order carriers of Yamaraj, even in dreams. To prove the strength of devotional service, Sukadev Goswami described the history of Ajamil. Ajamil was a resident of Kanyakubja, the modern Kannauj. He was trained by his parents to become a perfect Brahmana by studying the Vedas and following the regulative principles. But because of his past, this youthful Brahmana was somehow attracted by a prostitute, and because of her association, he became most fallen and abandoned all regulative principles. Ajamil begot in the womb of the prostitute 10 sons, the last of whom was called Narayana. At the time of Ajamil's death, when the order carriers of Yamaraj came to take him, he loudly called the name Narayana in fear because he was attached to his youngest son. Thus he remembered the original Narayan, Lord Vishnu, although he did not chant the holy name of Narayan completely, offenselessly, it acted nevertheless. As soon as he chanted the holy name of Narayana, the order carriers of Lord Vishnu immediately appeared on the scene. A discussion ensued between the order carriers of Lord Vishnu and those of Yamaraj, and by hearing the discussion, Ajamil was liberated. He could then understand the bad effect of fruitive activities and could also understand how exalted is the process of devotional service.
Okay, so now this section is most, it's applicable all times, as Prabhupada is saying in this lecture, that whatever the story is from long, long back, so he says, because it's the material world, these tendencies exist throughout all times. In Kali Yuga, it's more prominent because in Kali Yuga, everywhere people are, it's the Kala Shudra Sambhava. So therefore, it's very much prominent. But this, what happened to Ajamil was a Brahmana from good time period, not in Kali Yuga, some other time. But it's the same principle. And so, see, we are dealing with this day in, day out. Like I just heard Prabhupada saying, meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex, these four sinful activities, right? It is natural in everyone that we want to indulge like this. But through the regulation of Varnashram Dharma, so it is curbed, right? And now when there is no Varnashram Dharma, nobody knows what is what, right? So therefore, Prabhupada says now, Kali Yuga, these have entered every household. Every house. You don't know when in your own household something like that may happen, right? And shamelessly we accept it, right? Before you'll be afraid, you'll be ashamed to say what's happening in your household, right? Atonement, prayashchit. Yeah. So that's why Prabhupada says Kali Yuga is so dangerous that we are heading for this hell that's just been described in the fifth canto. It's a civilization, it's a non-civilization, uncivilized, right? When we are breaking these regulative principles. See, once one generation breaks it, the next generation automatically wouldn't even think twice. It becomes the norm, right? Yeah, that's how we live, right? And to reset it, you saw how Prabhupada struggled to reset it. So in this lecture on 6th canto, so Prabhupada is explaining, he said that some people ask him, why do you insisting so much for the boys and the girls to get married? Why in your movement, why do you insist so much? They must get married. Prabhupada explained, said, if this one principle is not followed, all the others will come. Or they will break all the other. It's just a matter of time before you start taking drugs, getting intoxicated, and gambling. Said everything will come, even if you're born a Brahmana. Even if you're born Brahmana. So he said, if this, so, now please listen, I won't be able to repeat everything. Prabhupada's lectures on this. It can happen to anybody, just anybody. Yeah, so Prabhupada struggled like anything to make, why till today, we take Diksha, you have to take the vow, no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex, right? You have to take that vow. Prabhupada has put it. And sometimes, we want to move it around, right? And so difficult. And just to save us from going, what we just heard from the fifth canto. So remember, I'm repeating what Prabhupada said about this. I didn't hear this before. Prabhupada is saying, people are asking him, reproaching, why, you just want the boys and girls to get married. Why do you insist, right? He said, if they don't get married, all the other vices will come. No regulation, free life, right? You think a sannyasi has any business going and getting people married? right? Getting involved in there, you know. So here it is, and it started with the fall down of a Jamil. Started with that, breaking the rule in household life. Right? Started his whole degradation. It started with this. Huh? So this is real. This is not a story that happened whatever time and not applicable. Now it is 200, 500%, you are right? Applicable. Text 1. And the result also is 100% there. Shri Parikshit Uvacha Nivritti Marga Kathita Ado Bhagavata Yatha Krama Yogopalabdhena Brahmanayad Asamsritihi. Maharaj Parikshit said, O my lord, O Shukadev Goswami, you have already described in the second canto the path of liberation, Nivritti Marg. By following that path, one is certainly elevated gradually to the highest planetary system, Brahmalok, from which one is promoted to the spiritual world along with Lord Brahma. Thus, one's repetition of birth and death in the material world ceases. See, so like some hope is given that you can come out. Now Prabhupada is going to explain, how Parikshit Maharaj is actually very disturbed. When he heard about this, what happens in hell, was very disturbed about it. And then he says, but there is a way out. You have described how we can come out, See, it's like we have given so much attention about the good and higher, right? And suddenly this hell is described, right? So Parikshit Maharaj is shaken. Since Maharaj Parikshit was a Vaishnava, when he heard the description at the end of the 5th canto of the different hellish conditions of life, he was very much concerned with how to liberate the conditioned souls from the clutches of Maya and take them back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, he reminded his spiritual master Shukadev Goswami about the Nivritti Marg, the path of liberation, which he had described in the 2nd canto. Maharaj Parikshit, who at the time of death was fortunate to have met Shukadev Goswami, inquired from Shukadev Goswami about the path of liberation at that crucial time, meaning that he's about to die. So he inquired about the path of liberation. Shukadev Goswami very much appreciated his question and congratulated him by saying, just to make a point here, see, this system of Varnashram, so it's like providing the banks of pious life, right? But we can't stay in there, right? We can't just stay within the banks of pious life, Varnashram Dharma, right? We have to actually undertake the process of liberation, right? We have to. वरीहनेशते प्रश्न कृतो लोकाहितं नृप आत्मावित् समता पुंसहं श्रोतव्यादिषूह्य परः. My dear king, your question is glorious because it is very beneficial for all kinds of people. The answer to this question is the prime subject matter for hearing, and it is approved by all transcendentalists, Canto 2, 1.1. So this is the very first verse that's spoken by Shukadev Goswami. Parikshit Maharaj was astonished that the living entities in the conditional stage do not accept the path of liberation, devotional service, instead of suffering in so many hellish conditions. All right? See? The conditioned soul, they do not accept the path of liberation. They're ready to put themselves at risk that they can go down to hell, but they are not going to accept the path of liberation. This is the symptom of a Vaishnava. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha. A Vaishnava is an ocean of mercy. Para dukha dukhi. He's unhappy because of the unhappiness of others. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj, being compassionate toward the conditioned souls suffering in hellish life, suggested that Shukadev Goswami continue describing the path of liberation, which he had explained in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. The word asamsriti is very important in this connection. Samsriti refers to continuing on the path of birth and death. Asamsriti, on the contrary, refers to nivriti marg, or the path of liberation, by which one's birth and death cease and one gradually progresses to Brahmalok, unless one is a pure devotee who does not care about going to the higher planetary systems, in which case one immediately returns home back to Godhead by executing devotional service. Tyaktva deham punar janma neti. Parikshit Maharaj therefore was very eager to hear from Shukdev Goswami about the path of liberation for the conditioned souls. So, samsriti, samsara, right? The path of going up and down from Brahmalok down to Patalok, and birth and death. So now asamsriti, nivritti marg. You understand these words? Nivritti marg, samsriti and nivritti marg. According to the opinion of the Acharyas, the word Krama Yoga Palabdhena indicates that by first performing Karma Yoga and then Jnana Yoga and finally coming to the platform of Bhakti Yoga, one can be liberated. Bhakti Yoga, however, is so powerful that it does not depend on Karma Yoga. It doesn't depend on Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga. Bhakti Yoga itself is so powerful that even an impious man with no assets in Karma Yoga or an illiterate with no assets in Jnana Yoga can undoubtedly be elevated to the spiritual world if he simply adheres to Bhakti Yoga. Say, like when Prabhupada went to the West, they were indulging in all types of unwanted activities, right? They were not engaged in Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga, right? But Prabhupada went and gave them Bhakti Yoga. All right? Whatever he told them to do, like book distribution, prasadam distribution, and anything, it's like some type of work that he was giving them, like printing the books, right? Managing temples. Why Prabhupada has created all these temples? In order to engage people in Bhakti Yoga and naturally Karma Yoga.
Naturally, yeah, if you do bhakti yoga.
Right? Right? So we are doing bhakti out of obedience to Guru. We are doing it and we're saying it's for Krishna. And we are starting from nowhere. Right? So our desire, so we engage our own skills. Right? Gradually, before it was just do anything and everything. As ISKCON evolved and everybody started thinking, what is my skill? Let me do only what I'm good at, right? But actually what Prabhupada is engaging them in is Bhakti Yoga, meaning do it for Krishna. Where are we? And Jnana Yoga, so in the beginning, who came to Prabhupada? They were intellectuals, right? Who came to Prabhupada? They were intellectual. They wanted to have knowledge, right? And that's why today ISKCON still stands, because he managed to attract the intelligentsia of the world, right? So they became convinced, and they started practicing, and because of that, that's why they pushed forward, and they're engaging the masses today, right? But they're actually intellectual, they're intelligent. So that's why they're also administrators. They're good with Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. Basically, this is what Prabhupada attracted, right? And of course, everything was based on the holy name, like this kirtan, right? So we see every one of them, they were attracted to the kirtan. So this is straight bhakti, right? Directly, this is bhakti. The deity they couldn't figure out, but gradually they accepted it. Can you imagine in places where they've never seen a form, that doesn't know anything about deities, they only know it's forbidden in their, culture, right? How Prabhupada gave the deities, right? It's amazing. How others came and damaged, stole, right? They think these deities are just, what is it, idols, money, wealth, right?
Because earlier they always thought that this is a cult. But Sanatan Dharma hai, I mean, it is from time immemorial, but it started as a cult. But now acceptance is all over the globe.
So now, Ma eva shashi ashamsayaha, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that by the process of bhakti yoga, one undoubtedly goes back to Godhead, back home to the spiritual world. Yogis, however, instead of going directly to the spiritual world, sometimes want to go sightseeing, okay? So they go to other planetary system and therefore they ascend to the planetary system where Lord Brahma lives, as indicated here by the word Brahmana. At the time of dissolution, Lord Brahma, along with all the inhabitants of Brahmalok, goes directly to the spiritual world. This is confirmed in the Vedas as follows. Brahmana sahate sarve samprapte pratisanchare parasyante kritatmanah pravishanti parampadam. Because of the exalted position, those who are in Brahmalok at the time of dissolution go directly back home, back to Godhead, along with Lord Brahma. All right, so this is our beginning of sixth canto. So, yeah, chapter 1, text 1. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Chalo, finally we have come to the sixth canto, my God.